Welcome back to GP Overtake, your home for the biggest MotoGP stories, behind-the-scenes insights, and in-depth analysis you won't find anywhere else. Before we dive in, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest uploads. Now, let's get into today's story. A three-time world superbike champion has just called what many people consider the slowest engineering department in MotoGP. Incredible. At first glance, it sounded like a compliment. But if you listen carefully to what Toprak Razgatlioglu actually said, it might be one of the biggest warning signs Yamaha has received all season. Because this was never a story about slow engineers. It was a story about a champion learning to accept something that every great racer usually refuses to accept. And if Yamaha keeps hearing words like these from its newest star, they may have far less urgency to fix their biggest problem than anyone realizes. So, what did Toprak actually say? And why could his patience end up costing him the most valuable years of his career? Let's take a closer look. To understand why this interview matters so much, you first need to understand who Toprak Razgatlioglu is. This isn't a rookie grateful just to reach MotoGP. This isn't a rider trying to prove he belongs. This is one of the most aggressive racers motorcycle racing has seen in the last decade. A rider famous for braking impossibly late. A rider who built his reputation on attacking every corner, as if second place simply didn't exist. 3 world superbike titles didn't come from patience. They came from relentless aggression, supreme confidence, and an obsession with winning. Which makes what happened inside the Yamaha garage so surprising. During a media session, Toprak was asked about working with Yamaha's Japanese engineers. Many expected another complaint about development speed. Instead, they heard something completely different. Toprak explained that Japanese engineers focus on every tiny detail before approving any update. They work a little bit slowly, he admitted. That sentence alone quickly became the headline across social media. But almost nobody paid attention to what came next. Toprak continued by describing a conversation he regularly has with the engineers. I ask them, when are you changing this part? They answer, soon. So I ask, when is soon? Maybe 7 months. At that point, most riders would probably roll their eyes. Some would publicly criticize the factory. Others would quietly start calling rival manufacturers. Toprak didn't either. Instead, he smiled. They come back 7 months later, and it's incredible. I love this. That completely changes the meaning of the interview. He wasn't attacking Yamaha. He was defending them. Even more remarkably, he described the entire experience as something he was grateful to learn. According to Toprak, working with Japanese engineers has taught him that although they may move more slowly than European manufacturers, they return with solutions that are carefully tested and deeply considered. In other words, he isn't frustrated by the process. He respects it. And that's exactly why this story deserves a much closer look. Because while Toprak was praising Yamaha's engineering culture, reality on the racetrack was telling a very different story. His first MotoGP season has been far tougher than many fans expected. The transition from World Superbikes to MotoGP was always going to be difficult. Different tires, carbon brakes, prototype motorcycles, completely different electronics. Every rider who has made the jump admits there's a steep learning curve. But Yamaha's situation has made that challenge even harder. Instead of joining a bike capable of fighting near the front, Toprak entered a project that is still trying to rebuild itself. There have been weekends where all 4 Yamahas struggled to escape the bottom of the timing sheets. Even scoring points has felt like an achievement. One of Toprak's biggest milestones came when he finally collected his first MotoGP points after finishing 15th. For many rookies, that would have been a reason to celebrate. For Toprak, it was something else entirely. After the race, he admitted he was happy to score his first point, but only for a moment. Then came the sentence that revealed how he truly felt. I'm happy, but not really. 25 seconds behind. That's not good. Those few words carried far more emotion than his later interview praising Yamaha. Because Toprak wasn't measuring success by points. He was measuring the gap to victory. and 25 seconds in modern MotoGP is enormous. It's not the difference between winning and finishing fifth. It's the difference between fighting for the podium and simply surviving the race. For a rider who spent years dominating world superbikes, that reality is impossible to ignore, which creates an interesting contradiction. On one hand, Toprak openly admits the performance gap is unacceptable. On the other, he praises the very development process responsible for closing that gap. Those two ideas shouldn't comfortably exist together, yet somehow they do. And that contradiction may reveal more about Yamaha's future than any lap time ever could. That brings us to the part almost nobody connected to Toprak's comments. At almost the exact same time he was publicly praising Yamaha's engineering philosophy, one of the most respected voices in the MotoGP paddock was painting a very different picture. Veteran journalist David Emmett, citing sources inside Yamaha, reported that the factory has very little expectation of producing a genuinely race-winning motorcycle before 2028. Think about that for a second. Not later this season. Not next year. 2028. Whether that timeline proves completely accurate or not, it reflects just how enormous Yamaha's rebuilding project has become. And the reason isn't difficult to understand. For decades, Yamaha's identity was built around its inline-4 engine. It wasn't just an engine configuration. It was the foundation of the entire motorcycle. Its chassis philosophy, weight distribution, electronics, and riding style had all evolved around that concept. But MotoGP has changed. Ducati rewrote the rulebook. KTM and Aprilia aggressively accelerated their development. Even Honda has begun moving toward a completely different direction. Yamaha eventually accepted that simply refining the old concept would no longer be enough. The answer was bold, a completely new V4 engine project. From the outside, it sounds like progress. Inside a factory, however, it means starting over. When an engine architecture changes, countless pieces of engineering knowledge suddenly become less valuable. Engine characteristics change. Cooling changes. Packaging changes. Aerodynamics must be redesigned. The chassis has to be adapted. Electronic strategies need rewriting. Even rider feedback has to be interpreted differently because the motorcycle behaves in completely new ways. It's not just building a faster bike. It's rebuilding an entire philosophy. That kind of transformation doesn't happen in a few race weekends. It takes years. Now place that reality next to something Toprak casually revealed. He asked when a new component would arrive. The answer? Maybe 7 months. 7 months. That isn't simply a delay. It's a development cycle. And every development cycle matters when your rider is entering what should be the peak years of his career. Unlike a teenager entering MotoGP, Toprak doesn't have endless seasons available. Every year matters. Every opportunity matters. Every season spent rebuilding is one less season spent fighting for championships. That is why his interview becomes so fascinating. Because despite understanding all of this, he still chooses patience. He still chooses respect. He still chooses belief. Most champions become impatient when victories disappear. History has shown it repeatedly. Elite riders pressure factories. They demand upgrades. They push management into making faster decisions. Sometimes they even walk away entirely. Toprak has done the opposite. Instead of criticizing Yamaha's pace, he has publicly defended it. Instead of creating pressure, he has reduced it. Instead of demanding immediate answers, he has embraced the long-term process. And that's where the real story begins. Because Yamaha never needed Toprak to be fast immediately. They needed him to stay committed. A frustrated superstar creates problems. A patient superstar creates time. Time to test. Time to develop. Time to make mistakes. Time to rebuild. From Yamaha's perspective, there may be no better teammate than a rider willing to trust the process. But from Toprak's perspective, time is the one thing he can never recover. Every season spent waiting is another season his rivals continue improving. Every month spent developing is another month his competitors continue winning races. MotoGP is ruthless. Nobody pauses their own progress while another manufacturer catches up. Ducati won't stop developing. KTM won't stop investing. Aprilia certainly won't wait. The championship keeps moving forward, whether Yamaha is ready or not. And that's why this interview deserves far more attention than it received. People thought the headline was about slow Japanese engineers. It wasn't. People thought Toprak was criticizing Yamaha. He wasn't. The real headline was something much bigger. A champion known for attacking every opportunity has chosen to embrace patience instead. That sounds admirable, professional, even inspiring. But motorsport has always been cruel. Patience is valuable only if the reward arrives before your greatest years disappear. If Yamaha delivers a championship-winning motorcycle in time, this interview will be remembered as proof that Toprak trusted the right people. If they don't, these same words may eventually sound very different. Not like confidence, but like acceptance. And perhaps that's the biggest question facing Yamaha today. Not whether their engineers are working hard. No one seriously doubts that. Not whether the V4 project has potential. It almost certainly does. The real question is much simpler. Will the bike be ready before Toprak's prime is gone? Because in MotoGP, talent alone is never enough. Timing matters just as much. And right now, those two clocks don't seem to be ticking at the same speed. So what do you think? Is Toprak showing the patience of a future MotoGP champion? Or is he sacrificing his best years for a project that simply needs too much time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to GP Overtake, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest MotoGP analysis. Thanks for watching, and click the video on your screen right now, because the next story might completely change how you see the MotoGP paddock.